Welcome to Let's Talk Tuesdays. I'm your host, Sebastien, the approved guy. And today we are going to be discussing what did King Solomon actually do. I have to ask your forgiveness because I came down with a pretty bad cold this weekend. So if I sound nasal, I'm fighting this cold. But no matter what, I have to be here. That's my promise to the Lord and to you, my audience. So thank you for joining. Let's just dive right into it. And of course, we do have a special guest, so make sure you stay to the very end to meet our guests for the evening. All right, so before we actually start getting into the actual scripture of what did King Solomon actually do, first things first, I want to explain and clarify, because we need to know a little bit of background about King Solomon. We need to know, who is this guy? Like, what's his personality? And, he stepped into this kingdom rulership, but who is he? So King Solomon is the son of King David. And David was actually the same David that slew Goliath when he was a young boy. Now, if you go back and you read the story about David, you're going to find out that David was the toughest, roughest, bad man you can ever come across. He was strong. He had no fear, but he had honor and reverence and respect for the Lord, and he had honor and respect for authority. So he had ample opportunity to chop down his enemies, and he didn't, because he, for most of his life, was on the run. From the moment he was anointed to be the king as a young boy, the king at the time, Saul, became very jealous. And by the time David became a grown adult, he became very famous and popular among the people because he was so successful in battle. He would kill so many of the enemies, and the people would chant his name, and Saul became enraged with jealousy. So he set out to kill King David. And instead of David standing and fighting against King Saul, because he respected authority, he respected the king and the position of the king, and number one, he respected the Lord, he went ahead and ran. And he was on the run for most of his life, and living in caves. And this is where he wrote a lot of the Psalms. And when you read the Psalms, you can see his struggle and his pain as he's alone in the caves, just hiding out, trying to survive. Finally, in due time, Saul dies, and then he inherits the throne because he's the anointed king. But he had ample opportunity during Saul's life where he could have actually killed Saul, but he didn't. Instead, he let Saul know, hey, I could have killed you, but I didn't, because of my love and respect for the Lord, and because I love and respect you as the king of my people. So then later, King David has the throne, and he's now, in control of the throne. And not only does the old king, is chasing him, but then the old king's successors and the people within his tribe, they're trying to get him. As King David has children, his own children, his sons, are going to come after him now, right? So now he's on the run as a king from his own son, because he doesn't want to kill his own son. And so he's on the run again, from being killed, because he doesn't want to kill someone he loves. So you got to go back and read the story of David, because this man was amazing. He was the epitome of someone who was noble, who had honor, who had reverence, who basically had the power and ability and authority to take out his enemy, but because of love and respect and honor, he did not do that. And in the end, it was a blessing to him. Now, he's a human being, so he made many mistakes. He fell in love with a woman that was married. Her name was Bathsheba, and she was taking a shower. This is, explicit in the Bible. And he watched her as she was taking a shower nude, and he went and took her. That's what the scripture says. He took her. But she was married. So she ended up, to make a long story short, he even went ahead and made a decree for her husband, who was a general in his army, to go out on the battlefield, and basically sent him on a suicide mission so that he could die and he could take his wife. I mean, this is, the real life reality of the scriptures, of the stories of the characters that are the heroes in the scriptures. They are heroes, and they've done amazing things, but they're also human, and they make big mistakes, and he had to ask for forgiveness. And so his first son, as a result, was taken from him. His first son died, but he had more children, and the next child from Bathsheba was going to be Solomon. Now Solomon grew up in a kingdom as a prince. He didn't know war. He didn't know what it meant to fight and to be on the run and to struggle. He was not a roughneck or a tough guy. He was really a prince who grew up with all the luxuries and all of the benefits of a prince, right? And so this is one of the reasons why when Solomon asked God for wisdom, this is where it's coming from. He's a boy who's inheriting a kingdom, and he does not know how to do what his father did. He doesn't know how to go out or come in. If there's a war, he doesn't know what to do. So he asked God for wisdom. He asked him to give him the knowledge for his people. Now we'll go ahead and jump into 1 Kings, and we'll start looking through some scripture together. Now, one of the first things I noticed right away, and we are looking at the YouVersion Bible app. We're looking at 1 Kings chapter 3. Actually, we're going to go back to 1 Kings chapter 2 right here. And this is when David gives Solomon the decree where he passes on the inheritance to Solomon. So the first thing we see here is a succession. So one of the things that I talk about on the channel is succession, and succession is basically preparing a leader to take over your business and to take over what you have created when it's time for you to leave the earth. And that's the first thing that happens. David is basically implementing his succession plan and passing on his wealth, his kingdom, and all of his authority to his son Solomon. Now, at the same time as this is happening, in the previous chapter, he has another son, which is older than Solomon, from another wife. Yes, because David did have many wives, and so did Solomon. And though that is not really, it's not something that the Lord blesses, this is part of their weaknesses as men and part of their major downfall as well. So David is getting the inheritance of the throne here, and we're going to read through some of this. But one of his older brothers already tried to take the throne by authority because he knew that his father was dying, right? So it says here in 1 Kings chapter 2, when the time drew near for David to die, he gave a charge to Solomon his son. I'm about to go the way of all of the earth, he said. So be strong, act like a man, and observe what the Lord your God requires. Listen to this. This is his mandate to his son. He says, walk in obedience to him, the Lord, and keep his decrees and commands, his laws and regulations as written in the law of Moses. Do this so that you may prosper in all you do and wherever you go, and that the Lord may keep his promise to me. If your descendants watch how they live, and if they walk faithfully before me with all their hearts and soul, you will never fail to have a successor on the throne of Israel. Now, you yourself know that Joab, son of Zeruiah, did to me. So now he starts to tell him about his enemy. So now what we're finding out, what we're seeing is that David is starting to play the role of a mentor. So this is going to be one of the first rules of success for a business owner or an entrepreneur is you need to find yourself a mentor, right? It could be somebody that you follow online, on YouTube, a book, but eventually you want to be able to have someone that you can confide in and get that one-on-one feedback, someone who's already traveled the road and the journey that you want to travel, who already has achieved the success that you want to achieve, because by having that mentor, they're going to help you avoid the pitfalls, and they're going to help you to streamline and curb your learning curve so that you can be successful sooner. So we see here that David is telling Solomon basically about who his enemies are. He's saying, okay, Zeruiah, he's your enemy. Okay. Now you yourself know that Joab, son of Zeruiah, did to me. So he's telling, this is what he did to me, David. And what he did to the commanders of Israel's armies. Abner, son of Ner, and Amasa, son of Jether. He killed them, shedding their blood in peacetime, as if in battle. And with that blood he stained the belt around his waist and the sandals of his feet. And he tells him, deal with him according to your wisdom, but do not let his gray head go down to the grave in peace. So he's basically telling him this man needs to be punished for what he did, right? So he's, again, as a mentor, he's letting him know within his own company, within his own kingdom, who he needs to look out for, who he needs to fire, or who he needs to discipline, which is the first thing he needs to do before he can have a successful kingdom, right? Then he says, but show kindness to the sons of Barzillai and Gilead. So now he's telling them, these people, these are your friends, these are your alliances, and let them be among those who eat at your table. They stood by me when I fled from your brother Absalom. So Absalom is the brother who was trying to kill his father David, to take the throne. And he put himself in position of king. And remember, you have with Shimei, son of Gera, the Benjamite from Burhim, who called down bitter curses on me the day I went to Mahanaim. When he came down to meet me at Jordan, I swore to him by the Lord, I will not put you to death by the sword. But now do not consider him innocent. You are a man of wisdom. You will know what to do with him. Bring his gray head down to the grave in blood. I mean, this is some challenge. We're not suggesting that if you have employees that are not performing well, that you bring them down to the grave in blood. That's definitely not what we're suggesting or saying that we should do here. But what we are suggesting and what we're saying is that you should have a mentor, someone who can help you to identify the strengths within your kingdom, within your business, and who is for you and who's against you within your business. You have to get rid of those that are not helping you and your business to prosper. And if you don't have employees, then it might be people in your life that you call friends or family that are holding you down, who are whispering doubts to you, who are whispering to you that you're not going to be able to succeed, who are telling you that you're not going to be successful. And though if you listen to those lies and you stay around those people, you're going to feed on that, and it's going to harm you. So you got to get rid of that. That's the first thing you have to do, is find yourself a mentor. You have to identify who is around you that is hurting you, and you have to get rid of those people. That's basically what David is telling Solomon to do. You know, before you can be successful, you have to get rid of the bad energy, bad people who have negative influence over you in your life. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, just put yes in the comments. I hear you. Amen. Let's have a conversation here. Then David rested with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David, and he reigned for 40 years and over Israel, 70 years in Hebron and 30 years in Jerusalem. So Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his rule was firmly established. Now Adonijah, the son of Haggith, went to Bathsheba, Solomon's mother, and Bathsheba asked him, do you come peacefully? Because remember now, this is the son who wanted to take the throne. So she's like, wait, are you here to kill me, or what's going on? He answers, yes, I'm here peacefully. Then he added, I have something to say to you. And he basically goes on to beg her. And he says, as you know, he said, the kingdom was mine. All Israel was looking to me as their king. But things changed, and the kingdom has gone to my brother, for it has come to him from the Lord. Now I have one request to make of you. Do not refuse me. You may make it, she said. So he continues, please, he's begging her, asking Solomon, because he won't refuse you, to give me Abishag and Shunammite as my wife. Very well, Bathsheba replied, I will speak to the king for you. So he's basically asking her to ask the king not to kill him and give him blessings, right? But that's not what his father told him to do. David gave him very clear instructions. So when Bathsheba went to the king Solomon to speak to him for Adonijah, the king stood up to meet her, bowed down to her, and sat down on his throne. He had a throne brought for the king's mother, and she sat down at his right hand. And she said to him, I have one small request to make of you, and do not refuse me. The king replied, make it, my mother. I will not refuse you. So she said, let Abishag and Shunammite be given in marriage to your brother Adonijah. And King Solomon answered his mother, why do you request Abishag and Shunammite for Adonijah? You might as well request the kingdom for him. After all, he is my older brother. Yes, for him and for Abiathar, the priest of Joab, son of Zerai. Then King Solomon swore by the Lord, may God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if Adonijah does not pay with his life for this request. Now as surely as the Lord lives, he who established me securely on the throne of my father David, and has founded a dynasty for me as promised, Adonijah shall be put to death today. Again, we're not putting anybody to death in our businesses, right? But we're going to get rid of enemies. We're going to get rid of people who are speaking death, people who are conspiring against us. We need to identify who those people are. That's the first thing you need to do so that you can get on your road to success. Identify who is your enemy and get rid of them. Cut them out of your life. And sometimes that's your friends, sometimes that's your family, right? So be aware, open your eyes and start looking around. Start asking questions to identify who is really for you and who's against you. So then the next thing that happens now, so Solomon makes this decree, and they go out and they kill his enemies, right? Adonijah and the others. And so this chapter ends with King Solomon firmly establishing his throne, right? And so you can read through this, and I urge everyone to read through it. I'm looking in the New International Version just because it's a little bit easier to read. But I always like to read and study through King James Version because you can line that up with the concordance, Hebrew concordance, and you can match the language and find the actual Hebrew words that were used when you're reading King James Version. And again, we always want to read and study Bible using the rule of first mentioned. We want to use the rule of context, and we want to use the rule of language, because you're going to get a much deeper meaning when you apply these rules versus just reading it based on what you're seeing. Okay, so language, context, and first mention. So the next chapter, 3 here, is where Solomon asks for wisdom. And, you could read through that. We read through that a little bit last week. But then he goes on, and the next thing he does is he establishes, hold on. Yes, actually right here at the top. So the next thing he does is he establishes an alliance. So after you get rid of, excuse me, after you get rid of those folks around you who are hurting you, the next thing you have to do, or out to hurt you or harm your business or your kingdom, the next thing you have to do is you have to create alliances, new alliances, right? So you see here, the first thing he does is Solomon made an alliance with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he married his daughter. He brought her to the city of David until he finished building his palace and the temple of the Lord and the wall around Jerusalem. The people, however, were still sacrificing at the high places because of a temple had not yet been built for the Lord. So if we keep going down a little further, so he establishes an alliance. So we have to establish alliances with other companies, with other people that are going to help lift up your business, right? Your employees and your team. This is crucial. And then you're going to see he then invests in partners. All right, right here. Sorry, guys. Okay, so the next thing he does, is he creates his government in terms of the people that are in control. Who are the people that are going to be in the positions of control, right? And he establishes, these people, who's going to be the VP, the CEO, the CFO. He puts everybody in position, and then he sends them out to, and of course he defines his provisions for the people, meaning how's everybody going to get paid, and he does a wonderful job of making sure that he shares his abundance with the people. So he's not an owner or a boss who's taking all of it just for himself. He's sharing it with his people because there's an overflow, and so everybody is getting to participate and enjoy. And then finally, he sends his people out to create alliances with other kingdoms. And forgive me, guys. And yeah, here we go. And so he sent them to the king of Tyre, and and they basically set up an alliance. And what you'll read through here is that the king of Tyre, they were great builders, and they had materials that he needed. So he set up arrangements with them so that he could buy materials for them, and he paid them more than they were worth because they had a good value and a good product. So in his relationship with his vendors, his suppliers, and third parties, he wasn't trying to be skimpy and saying, give me the best deal you can give me. That's not what he was doing. He said, don't worry. You have the best product. You provide the best value, and I'm going to pay you not only what you're worth, but more than you're worth, because he wanted them to be exclusive to him. So you can read that right here. So let's see right here. Yeah. So give the orders that cedars of Lebanon be cut for me. My men will work with yours, and I will pay you for your men whatever wages you set. Like, just whatever you want. Ask it. I'll give it to you. Right? He's not trying to negotiate a lower rate. You know that we have no one skilled in feeling timber as the Sidonians do. And when Hiram heard Solomon's message, he was greatly pleased and said, praise be to the Lord today, for he has given David a wise son to rule over his great nation. So Hiram sent word to Solomon, I have received the message that you sent to me, and will do all you want in providing the cedar and juniper logs. My men will haul them down from Lebanon to the Mediterranean Sea, and I will float them as rafts by sea to the place you specify. There I will separate them, and you can take them away, and you are to grant my wish by providing food for my royal household, right? Which is everyone within that dude's kingdom. So, this is where we're going to stop today. He was mentored. First, there was a succession that took place. He was mentored. He identified who was for and against him. He got rid of those that were against him. He created alliances. He invested in partners and was generous in wages that he shared with his own team, with his own employees, as well as with his vendors and third-party relationships. So we're going to continue because there's so much. I thought we were going to get through like 3 or 4 or 5 chapters. I started reading this and I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, just in 2 chapters, there's so much meat here in terms of business and how to operate. So we're just getting started. Next week, we are going to continue with more on King Solomon. Sorry, guys. Got to get rid of that. There we go. And what did King Solomon actually do? Part 2. Next week, we're going to keep it going. So make sure you stay tuned. So now I'm going to transition, and we're going to get into a little business finance talk. I'm going to talk to you guys today about an SBA 7A loan, which goes up to $5 million. Now, this is a loan for U.S.-based businesses, and this loan can help startups and existing businesses. I went ahead and literally took content directly from the SBA.gov website, and I put the link there, and I'll put that on the description later on after I edit the description of this video. You'll see it for your access in the future. So the 7A loan program is SBA's most common loan program. It includes financial help for small businesses with special requirements. This is a good option when real estate is part of a business purchase, but it can also be used for short and long-term working capital, refinancing current business debt, purchasing and installation of machinery and equipment, purchasing furniture, fixtures, and supplies. The maximum loan amount is up to $5 million. You can have as many SBA loans as you can qualify for, up to $5 million. So you could literally have 5, different or 7 different SBA loans at the same time. The total combination cannot exceed $5 million. Okay. Now, if you're purchasing real estate, it'll go up higher, and of course the term for a 7A is 10 years. But with real estate, it can go to 25 years. All right. So these are the key eligibility factors. You have to be a for-profit, be considered a small business as defined by the SBA. You must be engaged in or purpose to do business in the United States or its possessions, be able to demonstrate a need for a loan, use the funds for a sound business purpose, not be delinquent on any existing debt obligations to the U.S. government, and be creditworthy and reasonably assure repayment of the loan. Some businesses may not qualify for a 7A loan. And again, I put a link there to go into more details about the terms, conditions, and eligibility. To apply for an SBA 7A loan, you have to submit a borrower information sheet. It's the SBA form 1919. Now, I don't recommend that you just walk into a bank and just apply, because the problem is the government is the SBA and the bank is the lender. And so when you talk to 10 banks, you're going to get 10 different stories, because the government sets the requirements, but because the bank's the lender, they don't even have to participate if they don't want to. If they want to, they can participate. But for example, your big three banks, they're not going to do startup loans, but SBA is for startups. So you're just talking to the wrong bank. So if you just walk into any random bank, you may be wasting your time, and worse, you may get frustrated and let down because you think that you don't qualify. So what we're able to do is help you find the right bank. I have over 25 SBA banks that all have different underwriting criteria. There are some new regulations out that have streamlined and made it more available. This is as of August 1st for businesses looking for loans under $500,000. But then again, the SBA, the banks are the lenders. So whether or not the government loosens the criteria, it's going to be up to the bank if they're going to still make it, as difficult as they want to, as long as they meet those minimum requirements. Okay, so typically you have to present financial statements. The lender may require personal financial statements, a business financial statement, profit and loss statements, current within 180 days of your application. That they may also want to look at your business tax returns. You're also going to have to put together, if you have any affiliations or ownership in other businesses, a list of any affiliations or businesses that you're a part of. A business license or certificate is required if you're in a business that requires any specific licensing or certifications. Of course, loan application history. What have you done in the past? Your personal income tax returns. If it's a startup especially, they want to look at your resume. If it's an existing business, not as important because you're already an existing business. Business overview and history. All of these things are required. Business lease is required. This is very important because there is a requirement within the SBA that the lease is a 10-year lease. Most banks will accept a 5-year with an automatic renewal. But if you're negotiating a lease, you need to make sure that you don't put yourself into a shorter lease term, because that by itself could disqualify you. And I always recommend, why not considering purchasing the property, and then instead of paying a lease payment, pay a SBA note payment to own the commercial property. Now, if you're buying an existing business, they're going to want to see the current balance sheet and profit and loss statement from the business that's being acquired, the tax returns for the last 3 years from the seller, proposed bill of sale and purchase agreement from the seller, and then, of course, if there's any inventory, machinery, equipment, furniture, and fixtures, that all has to be itemized, and then how is that being valued and put into the cost of the purchase. All right, so you may be required to submit more SBA forms based on the specific use of proceeds, as well as the bank that you're dealing with. But generally speaking, this is what the banks are looking for. So with that said, let's go to the questions here. So first of all, thank you guys for joining. I see that we have a few questions. Okay, so hi Santiago, hi Wendy, thank you for joining. So Santiago says, Sebastien, are you doing SBA loans? And the answer is yes, Santiago, I am doing SBA loans. Thank you for asking. And I work again with about 25 different banks. And so I'm able to receive the loan, help you package it, present it to my banks without any inquiry on your credit, and make sure that we're working with the right bank before we go forward with an actual official application and put an inquiry. All right. So now we're going to go ahead now. And if there's no other questions, we're going to go ahead and transition to the next section, which is our subscriber appreciation. Promote your business with subscriber appreciation. So how do you do that? First, you just subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And then what you're going to do is you need to like at least 3 videos. And then you're going to use the link in the description to schedule a pre-interview so we can talk about you. Now, you don't have to be a business owner. You could be a business professional. And, if you want to promote yourself in your business, you're going to have the opportunity to come on and I'm going to interview you and you're going to have the opportunity to just present yourself to my audience. So with that, if you're interested and you wanted to participate, please subscribe, like 3 videos, and use the link in the description to schedule a pre-interview so we can book the time for you to participate. And without further ado, today's video, we have a special guest, Mr. Andre Walter with CMG Home Loans. Mr. Walter is actually a really good friend of mine, and he is an agent with CMG. He's a licensed mortgage professional. And we're going to go ahead and just bring him on and let's start a dialogue. Oh,
Yeah, I'm ready for part 2 already, so it's
there you are,
exciting.
man. Hey, Andre, how are you, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. Great teaching today. I learned a lot from it, and it's funny how you listen to the teachings that you're going over with Solomon. You kind of relate it back to scenarios in your own life, right, that you've gone through, and you've touched on some points with finding a great mentor, removing negative people, making the right alliances, and then investing in partners, which is really really powerful.
Isn't it? Yeah, I mean, when I started that study, I did not expect that. Wasn't looking for that, and it just was there, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So God is the best teacher. He's amazing.
Amen.
Yeah, brother.
Definitely.
So I know you very well, but the audience doesn't. So first, if you would just tell us, a little bit about yourself and about your the bank you work with, and then we could talk a little. We'll go in a little Q&A.
Sure, absolutely. So I'm on, like Sebastian had mentioned, I'm Andre Walter. I'm with CMG Home Loans. I've been in the finance space for over 15 years. I'm also a licensed realtor, and I partnered with CMG and became a loan officer with this company because of their values, and it just aligned with the culture and the representation that I wanted to provide to the market. CMG has been around for over going on 30 years. We celebrated a 30-year anniversary last year, July, believe it or not, which is really exciting. We have over $100 billion in servicing right now, so we hold a lot of our mortgages on the books, and it just gives me the opportunity to offer great loan products to the market that I otherwise wouldn't have had access to. So that's CMG and myself in a nutshell there.
Awesome. So CMG is a bank that services nationwide USA.
Yes, absolutely. We're actually servicing the entire United States at this present moment.
Okay, and I know that you guys have some conventional loans, a lot of the same similar type loans that folks can find, and we'll talk about those. And you also have some unique, interesting loans. And we're not going to get too deep into specifics on how things work, but I just want to kind of touch on some of the different products that you offer. So, just I guess just on the surface, if you could maybe list some of
Sure.
the more popular loans and programs that you guys offer.
Yeah, I mean, at CMG, we offer financing from across the board, right? You have your conventional financing for the first-time home buyer, FHA loans as well. We also offer non-QM loans for your self-employed, 1099 borrowers, right? So there's a wide spectrum there, which is great because in this market, specifically where we're dealing with higher interest rates and lower inventory, you need to be in a position to navigate that client through the best possible options that are available for them, right? So that's we cover the bases there, and most lenders have those options available. What makes CMG unique is the innovative loan products that we have, like our home funded program, where you can crowd fund your down payment, right, which is huge, right? That's a
Oh,
big
how
big
does that work?
yeah. No, it's great. So you have the option with the home funded program to literally crowdfund your down payment and use that money as a gift towards your down payment or closing costs. Where typical for traditionally, it has to come from a relative or someone that you know in order, or specifically a relative, in order for you to be able to use that for down payment funds. With the home funded program, it's a great opportunity for like wedding planners, people out there that are, hosting those type of events, to be able to offer that as an option for their clients, right? Super exciting opportunity there. We have our all-in-one program, which is a fantastic loan product, which is a first position HELOC. That's something that we're offering, where we combined the, banking and your mortgage together as one, which is really exciting. It's a first position HELOC that also serves as a line of credit, where it's principal first, right? On a traditional mortgage, you're typically going to pay your interest only, right? Interest first. But with
Right.
this program, it's a principal first payment. Really innovative, really great, and our clients, really, really love it.
That is super interesting.
Yep.
So, um, now when I hear HELOC, that is that something that could be used to purchase a new property, or only if you have equity in existing property?
Both, which is why it's so exciting. Excuse me. Both of you can actually use it for both, right? You can use this product to purchase a property, right? So that's one side of it, where the opportunity lies there within the fact that, once you close, you actually have equity in the property immediately and have access to it. It's a 30-year draw on the funding once you close. And then if you currently are interested in taking out equity out of your home, you can also use it as a home equity line of credit as well, where every payment that you make is going to principal first, which rapidly decreases the mortgage balance, and the interest is calculated on the actual, on the principal balance, versus, just the interest.
Okay, okay, amazing. If that's happening, that potentially, does that
Mhm.
allow someone to pay off a mortgage faster?
Yes, absolutely. It actually cuts the payment down almost half the time. So your 30-year traditional mortgage, typically the first 10 years of your mortgage is going to be interest loaded up front, right? So you're paying very little towards the principal balance, right? With the all-in-one program, since the monthly payments are being applied to the principal balance, and the interest is calculated on that principal balance, it shaves off years off of your mortgage, right? And it's done by using what's called a sweep account. Every month you get your salary deposited into your checking account, it sweeps over to the mortgage balance, and then that also becomes available for you to use. But it also has the interest calculated on that new principal balance, which is really why this program is so exciting for our buyers today. It's a different way. I mean, the mortgage, the way that the mortgage has been designed for many, many years ago is antiquated, to be quite honest, right? This offers a different opportunity for you to actually maximize, your biggest asset, which is your mortgage, right? In your home, right? And
Wow.
use that to
So
leverage.
what could you use that equity for, on the available line of credit?
Oh, life events, right? You have children that are going to college, and you want to tap into the equity there to help cover tuition. You have that option. If you want to take advantage of the equity to purchase investment properties, right? That's going to earn you more income, right? Build wealth through this type of a program. It offers that opportunity as well. So it's really, a great option overall.
Hmm.
The product is really designed to help you save money, right? And
Hmm.
cut down the amount of interest that you pay on a traditional mortgage. But as a byproduct of having an open line of credit, it then opens up a world of opportunity for you to utilize the funds that are available that would normally be trapped into the house and into the equity, into the walls of the home.
Right, because then you'd have to get a traditional HELOC, which is once
Correct.
you have enough equity, you would get a second lien HELOC. Do you guys
Correct.
offer second lien
Yes,
HELOCs
yeah,
for
we
traditional loans?
offer that, and listen, there's a number of different loan products out there that we offer, right? And every client,
Hmm.
each loan product it just all depends on what will benefit that borrower
Right.
specifically based on their circumstances, right? So just like a traditional mortgage, it has a place. The traditional mortgage has a place in the market, right? For people to be able to have low monthly payments, right? To be able to get through, their monthly obligations. With this program, it opens up, a world of opportunity for those that have a little bit more surplus of cash, in terms of, their monthly obligations and their debt to income ratios.
Got it. Got it. it I think this is a really, at least in my mind, a very important question. If
Sure.
anyone who's in the business of real estate investing, and I heard you say you could use the line of credit, the equity, however you want, if you want to use it to invest. But could,
Mhm.
if I'm a real estate investor, could I use this loan? Could I actually use this loan to buy a new property?
Absolutely, you can.
Wow.
100%. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay, so
the
wait.
funds are available for you to use, right? It's there, Just have to understand that with every investment that you make, there's gonna be, a cost associated with that, your monthly obligation, your monthly payments, and those things will be impacted on the balance that you draw down on. However, it is available, and you don't have to go through the red tape of applying for investment property loan, for instance, if you have enough
Right.
equity and available credit on the line.
So just so I'm
Forgive
clear
me
on
if I'm
this,
looking over here. My camera's here, and I see you over there. So
no worries.
yeah,
So just so I'm clear and the audience
mhm.
is clear, the all-in-one loan provided by CMG Bank is, and you guys are a lender, correct?
We're a
CMG is a
lender,
lender.
correct?
Okay.
Yes, yeah,
So
we're a lender.
CMG lender is a product that has a basically a bank account, a checkbook, right? Does that also have a
Correct.
debit card? Do you know?
Yeah, debit card. You have ATM withdrawals you can make. You
Uh-huh.
you have all the services that you would have with your traditional bank, right?
Wow.
All of that is available on this
And
product.
that is it's your, it's a basically a line of credit, which is your mortgage, if I'm
Correct.
understanding this. And when you make your payment on the balance of the line of credit,
Mhm.
it unlocks that equity, transfers it over to the line of credit, and
Correct.
you can
Think
use.
of using your mortgage as your bank account, right?
Wow.
For
Okay, and the
arguments,
check
let's
got you.
correct. Let's
So
just
you
say
have full
you
access to spend and draw from it based on whatever equity is available in real time on a day to day basis,
correct, absolutely. So you're using it as a bank account. So let's
and
just
there's
say
no
for our
delay. Sorry,
say that again.
there's no
Go ahead.
delay in like
No
transaction.
delay, instant. You have online banking, just as though you would log into your Bank of America account. I'm using that as an example, Chase or Citibank. You'll be able to log into your CMG account and be able to access your all-in-one account, excuse me, and you'll be able to access, see your balance, make a transfer. Wiring services are available as well. It really opens up the opportunity for you to be able to really access
Hmm.
the equity in the property without having to go through a ton of red tape to access it. Most
Got,
people right now have, there are a huge percentage of the market that have very low interest rates right now on the mortgages that they've took out a few years ago. They're in the threes and fours, and no one wants to really tap into that, right? This opportunity will give them, you can definitely use this all-in-one program to really access, the equity that's trapped in the walls, if you will. I guess is
got
the
it.
best way for me to put it.
So I'm going to speak to my audience really quickly.
Mhm.
For anyone who's ever watched any videos that I've done on velocity banking, this product is probably the best product for you to practice the strategy of velocity banking. If you haven't watched any videos of velocity banking, do your research. I'll put a link in my description for one of
Yeah.
my mentors, Denzel Rodriguez, who teaches velocity banking on his channel. You have to become a good steward of your money and your wealth, and velocity banking teaches you how to do that and how to
Hmm.
eliminate debt as fast as possible using a line of credit. And this product is a first lien HELOC. The company CMG, it calls it the all-in-one loan, and this is probably the best product to practice the strategy. Now, the strategy is not for everybody, so you have to have cash flow, and you have to be
Correct.
responsible with managing debt and comfortable with leveraging debt and being able to be very disciplined. One of our clients the other day looked at this and she was like, "Don't even tell me how much equity I have," because she knows she's just scared because she doesn't want to, just even have access to the equity, and that's okay, So not everyone, it's not for everybody. That's the bottom line. But for those of you
Correct.
who are really comfortable managing debt, leveraging debt, and managing multiple accounts, this is a great product to consider. And now you guys have some other products as well. From what I remember, you mentioned to me some kind of commercial products or
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have
investment
we have
products
yeah.
for.
for investors,
Hmm.
investors that are interested in, maybe, you are in a position and you're looking to acquire rental properties for Airbnb or long-term rentals. We have our debt service coverage ratio loan, which is considered like a non-QM loan product. This is a product where you could finance a investment property without having to show your tax returns or your income for that matter. It
Wow.
really analyzes the cash flow of the business to determine, the income, right, to qualify you for that loan. And these are all 30-year fixed loans, which is really, really exciting. So
Right.
the
So debt service coverage ratio loan.
Mhm.
I don't need to show my tax return.
Nope. We're not interested in tax returns.
Hmm.
To be quite honest with you, we're not really concerned if you're employed,
What?
right? I know that sounds crazy. That sounds
Yes, it
crazy
is
because
crazy.
we're analyzing the investment property as the business, and that has the income to support the monthly payment, right?
So are
So
you
as
looking at a
long
business
as
plan?
no business plan needed.
No.
We need to make sure that you have a credit score of a 680 or higher, right? And there are times where we can go a little bit lower than 680. It's on a case by case basis, but let's start at 680, right? Because that's where you really need to be to get
Mhm.
rates in lines, so that ratio will line up. But 680 credit score, you have to be able to show that you can get across the finish line, right? In terms of cash. So, we'll verify funds to make sure you have at least, we can do single family homes at 80% loan to value, right? Which is great. So that's a lot of leverage there for investment properties. So as long as you can show the cash to close and you have the credit positioning, we can get you in line. And what it will require, excuse me, is a appraisal, right? So,
Mhm.
appraiser goes out to the property, make sure that the value's there. They'll also have a market rent rate. Once that market rent rate comes in, and as long as it covers the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance at a minimum of 1 to 1. And we do have programs that you can go under the debt service coverage ratio, but let's just say at least at a 1 to 1 ratio, that property would qualify, and you'd be able to get into position to purchase.
So I have a question.
Mhm.
You have any products for foreign nationals?
Yes, we have foreign national loans available too as well. That requires a little bit more in terms of, it's the leverage that you get for foreign national loans. We can finance up to 70% loan to value. So you have to come to the table with 30% down, and you can't live or work in the United States, right? But you can qualify to purchase, a second home or a vacation property or an investment property, and we use the same debt service coverage ratio to help qualify that property as well.
So I
So,
could live in
I
another country like Canada, um,
yes,
and I
yes.
can, buy a property as an investment property in the United States
Oh yeah.
using this product.
Oh yeah. I serve a huge Canadian market. I also work in the Caribbean. My family and my background is Jamaican, so I have a lot of my family and friends who've heavily invested here in South Florida,
Hmm.
and they were buying all of these properties cash prior to understanding the opportunity of leverage and using a foreign national loan. Right? They didn't live or work here, but they wanted to buy property to be able to create wealth in the states, and that foreign national loan definitely offered a ton of leverage for them, which is great.
That's a shout out to you, Wendy. Awesome. This is amazing. So Andre, what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna close out this live stream with you're gonna basically have a 60-minute, 60-second opportunity to just basically do your own little commercial. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna put on this video here, this screen here. All right, and then I'm not gonna count down. So just count down. You know, starting with five, and then when I say five, count down to zero, and then I'm gonna
Okay.
transition, and then you'll go ahead and start, and just again, say who you are, your bank, just your 60-second
Sure.
commercial about you, your company, your product, how to reach you. You see his Andre's specific website link is there,
Yep.
and no matter where you are in the country, make sure that you reach out to Andre because he can connect you with one of his partners in another state. So even if he's not in your local area, he can get you connected with the with the
And not to interject, I've made the proper alliances like Solomon, right, with
Mhm,
our company to be sure to serve the entire United States, right? We have that teamwork within our organization, and we
mhm.
all work as a big team here at CMG to make sure we serve our clients properly.
All right,
So,
so just
we can
because Wendy asked one more question, we'll take what
sure,
Wendy's question.
yeah.
She said, "How much of a credit score would I need to have?" Now, Wendy's in Canada.
Hmm. No, yeah. So there's no credit requirement for the foreign national loan.
There's your answer. All right. So I'm starting on 5.
Mhm. My name is Andre Walter. I'm with CMG Home Loans, and we are a direct mortgage lender serving. I currently serve the state of Florida, although we are nationwide. And if you're in the market looking to purchase a home and you're looking for financial guidance in order to get across the finish line safely and responsibly, we have a motto here, which is every customer, every time, no exceptions. You could reach me on my site that Sebastien, I believe, will post in the link below, or you can call me directly on my cell, 954-292-3328. It was a pleasure connecting with all of you, and look forward to working with you in the future.
Awesome. All right,
Thank you.
guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's stream. Santiago, I've known Andre Walter probably my whole life. He's
All my
actually
life.
my cousin, and so he's a family member. But I've opened up this platform for everybody, and I've already had a few people reach out. So we're gonna start having guests that I don't know interviewed, which is gonna be real exciting. So next week we're gonna actually have a special guest. I'm not gonna leak it. I was about to leak it. Just make sure you tune in for a special guest next week. And so yeah, with that said, thank you guys for watching. God bless you. Take great care of yourselves, and love you guys. Peace.